Welcome to today's presentation of the 2014 Emerald City Classic, brought to you by Elemental Technologies, perfecting the media experience, and Patagonia, quality gear for athletes demanding high performance. We're here in Burlington, Washington. As you can see, it's a little gray out, 30 to 40% chance of rain. It's a nice temperature though, only about 60 degrees. We have Boston's Brute Squad taking on Austin Showdown in the first matchup of the tournament. Going to go into a couple keys to the games here. For Brute Squad, we have handler movement as a big key for them. Also looking to activate Malinowski downfield. We have a couple of players that we want to focus on for Brute Squad.
Yeah, Boston really has been kind of the talk of the town this season. They picked up a lot of talent from external sources. Paul Seville, Camille Groom, Leon Hoffman, Kirsten Unfried, and are looking very strong. They've had a very strong season, finals of U.S. Open. They're second ranked in the country and second ranked at this tournament coming into this game, and they're definitely a team to keep an eye on.
Right, and keys to the game for Showdown: play Texas defense and stay aggressive.
You know, Showdown is an under-the-radar team, as under-the-radar as you can be for a team that finishes fourth in the world and makes semifinals of the club championships. They're a team with a lot of talent, but they've had a lot of turnover. Two really big pickups for them this season: Mariel Hammond and Sonny Harris, both on the field for this first point from University of Central Florida, where they just finished their college careers in the semifinals of college nationals.
Harris brings down the pull, throws upfield to Tang, and dropped by Sarah Levin. Picked up by Tajima. Now Brute Squad with the disc. Over to Hoffman. She centers back to Bacher. Bacher with the high release backhand to Tickham. Now Tickham back to Tajima. Tajima going to be doing a lot of movement today for Brute Squad. Now with Bacher. Dumps to Tajima. Over to Titcomb, swung across to Hoffman. Up the line to Tajima, just outside the end zone. Already Brute Squad focusing a lot on their handler movement. They're sticking with Bacher. Bacher with the lefty release backhand to Hoffman. And we have the first goal of the game.
Looks like there was a pick call there that did not affect the play there, as Bacher with that little lefty high release backhand for the score. Boston really patient on the goal line there after a very quick turn from Showdown. Showdown giving a very short field to work with here on that drop from number 16, Sarah Levin.
Looked like it was affected a bit by Christy Kim. Flashed out in the lane. Maybe worried Levin. Yeah, Brute Squad staying very patient. I don't think they even threw downfield once to their cutters. It was really just their handlers, front of the stack, dump, swing, move it up the field, break a couple times.
Yeah, great patience there from Brute Squad. Leon Hoffman with the score. You know, Brute Squad finished second in U.S. Open. They were not at the World Championships in Lecco, Italy. They were not one of the top 4 teams from the U.S. last year. At the U.S. Open, finishing second, they were actually missing a handful of their top O-line handlers. Emily Bacher, who threw the assist there, was actually swinging over and playing offense for them with their handlers back here at this tournament. They're able to put Bacher back on the D-line.
Yeah, she creates a lot for them, as you could see on that first point, getting the first break of the game. Now Tickham with the pull. Harris picks up. Centers to Tang. Tang upfield to Fourth. Fourth with the inside out deep throw. And that's Whit Garcia with the D. It's her second year on the team. Played her college days at Wisconsin and Berkeley. Now Tajima to pick up. Marked by Harris. Hall Weaver back to Tajima. Jima inside break. Pick called. Player couldn't track it down. Showdown gets it back. Harris picks up. Showdown in a horizontal stack. Has the wide open under to Eagle. Back to Harris.
Some aggressive poaching there from Brute Squad in the zone defense. Manned up on the handlers in the backfield.
Cheeky little forehand over the top by Fourth to Harris. Harris with the around break. And Showdown able to capitalize off getting that first turnover back. They answer, bring it back to 1-1.
Yeah, some really good patience there, identifying those downfield open players. Right there, Brute Squad was manning up on the handler defenders and leaving some open space downfield. Lots of poaching downfield, and Showdown able to find the space open on the IO lanes and break it open for a couple of big gainers in the goal.
Now Showdown will look to get that break back. Set to pull. That's Marjo Poindexter with the pull. Tennell with it in the center. Former Callahan winner in 2011. Schwam with it. Centers to Unfried. Swung across to Bitterman. Bitterman back to Malinowski. Now with Tennell. Over to Chang. Chang up to Tennell. Back to Chang. Across to Malinowski. Malinowski looking inside to Tennell. Elects to go to Chang. Seville with it to Chang. Seville to Tennell. Lots and lots of handler movement for Brute Squad. Very poachy downfield for Showdown. They finally are able to break through. There's Unfried up to Spitz. Back to Seville. Seville fakes the inside. Now looks dump. The around break to Malinowski. Pick called. We'll stay with Malinowski. Looks like we have some discussion on the field. Gonna go to the observer.
The pick call is actually overruled by the observer. The observers in this game, Bill Elsinger and Brian Bradburn, overruled because the defender was too far away from the receiver there to make the pick call.
Malinowski taps in. Dumps to Seville. Seville with a hard inside break. Pick called.
So Showdown here is a transition from their soft zone defense into a man-to-man force forehand defense on the goal line.
Tapped in with Seville now. Seville around to Tennell. Another pick called. Looks like the pick occurred in the back of the stack. Tennell rifles it to Bitterman. Lots and lots of handler movement on that point.
Yeah, Jackson, it looked like Showdown came down with a very soft zone defense. They had a kind of a wall of three players in front and giving a lot of space to the Brute Squad handlers there. Tennell and Seville specifically using a lot of give and goes. Finally broke it open on that throw up to Unfried. And then once they got it into the red zone, again, just lots of patience through all these pick calls. And finally Tennell with that gun of a shot.
Boom.
In for the goal.
Goal.
both these teams seem like they've come out with a flat, low energy focus here, which is playing to Brute Squad's favor. I think Brute Squad is possessing the disc very well. They're working up very easily. Showdown on their first D point did not show a lot of fire and pressure. You know, I think they've let Brute Squad work that one up the field.
Yeah, not until they got down to the goal line did they go into their hard man. We're really trying hard on their defense. Baker with the pull. Bacher. Harris the fourth. To Hammond. Back to fourth. Looks like the handler's running a dominator. Move it to midfield. Now Hammond with it, dumps to fourth. Fourth putting it deep to Harris. She's wide open in the end zone. And Showdown with the goal.
Well, there you see the UCF connection, of course, with Katie Forth in the middle of it as well. Showdown electing just to move the rest of their offense off the sideline and let the three of those players work it downfield. And then once space opened up for Sunny Harris, she just took off downfield, and Katie Forth was able to find her. There's a nice move there from Sunny Harris. Sunny Harris handling, so her defender was, guarding in front of her, taking that backfield option away and giving her a lot of space deep. Sheer Klein there on defense, unable to make up that space.
The Showdown cutters on that also did a good job of staying on that side of the field, allowing the space to open up, allowing Harris to get deep, getting a one-on-one matchup. The defender focused on the dominator, unable to take away both the under and the deep. Harris, a smart cutter, and takes advantage of that.
It's interesting, this this developing Florida-Texas connection we're seeing. We saw that in the Open Division a few years ago with players like Brody Smith and Kurt moving over and playing with double wide, and now we're seeing the same thing happen with UCF and Showdown.
Tennell with it in the center. Swings across to Chang. Chang looks off Malinowski. Now Bitterman with a big under. Back to Chang. Chang puts it deep to Malinowski, and Kimber Coles poaches off. Looks like Malinowski not looking for that throw. Maybe a little forced. Coles to pick up.
That was like a trust throw. Malinowski and Chang teammates at Michigan, and I think Malinowski looking to come under. Chang not expecting that one. It's a tough angle.
Coles taps in with Benzant. Swung across to Arsenault. Now Arsenault back to Benzant. Benzant around break to Eagle. Coles just off the fingertips. Now Tennell to pick up, marked by Benzant. Only 20 yards outside the end zone. Brute Squad looking to get that one back. Puts it up to Bitterman. Coles there, but unable to take away that offensive positioning. And Bitterman scores. Now Boston takes the lead 3-2.
I like Showdown's look that time. They were aggressive defensively. They were aggressive offensively coming off of the turnover. Kimber Coles could not hold on to that one on the sideline. But it was nice movement from that Showdown's D-line O. But you can't give Brute Squad that many chances. Their O-line is very experienced and very skilled. And Lila Tennell liking that Bitterman look, receiving look, and Bitterman easily able to get open. And Tennell just lays it in there for her.
Second time Tennell to Bitterman for the goal. Now Brute Squad looking to extend their lead. Tickham set to pull. See if Showdown comes down with their dominator again. The likes of Harris, Hammond, And fourth. Harris brings it down. Center to fourth. Looks like Brute Squad came down in a zone to try to slow that movement. And Showdown able to break through right away. Nice layout D there from Negus.
Vicky Negus with the block there as Brute Squad was transitioning back to man after Showdown had broken it open. And now Brute Squad with a second break opportunity.
Titcomb with it on the sidelines. Pick called to Hallweaver. Disc going back. Titcomb marked by Vincent. Brute Squad in a horizontal stack. Bacher with it now. Big dump. Now Hoffman putting it deep. That's Klain. And Katie Forth able to get up and get the D for her team.
Forth making up some nice yards to get that block. Klain had some steps on her defender. It was a nice block, and now Showdown an opportunity to hold.
Harris with it, looking downfield now, swings to Forth. Forth back to Harris. Now with Hammond. Hammond, nice grab there. And Harris with it, with the around. Doesn't even want to pivot on that one. Back to Harris, again without the pivot. Outside in backhand to Hammond. Hammond to Forth. Forth with the hammer over the top. Just past Sarah Levin. Maybe a little forced on that one.
You know, I think the Showdown offense here feeling a little bit of the pressure from the Brute Squad defense. Brute Squad, you know, there were a couple catches where Leanne Hoffman was right off the hip of her receiver, putting a lot of pressure on. Here they are on offense, taking a shot.
And it works out. Hoffman brings it down. Hoffman to Jacoby. And puts it deep to the wide open Molly Hallweaver. Brute Squad able to capitalize, getting a break, taking their lead to 2. They're now up 4-2.
That was a very costly goal line turnover for Forth, that hammer turnover for Showdown. Brute Squad able to make a lot out of that one. Big yards and wide open on the reception there was Hallweaver. The Brute Squad offense just churning after that turnover.
Yeah, you got to get back on defense there, Kyle.
Nice shot from Bacher to wide open Hoffman. No real pressure here from that Showdown O-line onto that Brute Squad D-line, and that conversion is easy. You know, Brute Squad certainly doing a good job monitoring their energy. Showdown also, you know, has somewhat low energy, it seems like. One thing that I think must be challenging about a tournament like this is how do you pace yourself, right? Every team here, there's 2 pools of 4 teams, and every single team makes the quarterfinals. So there's a lot of, you know, you're pacing yourself for tomorrow, for Sunday play. You can't come into this as if this is an elimination game of any means, despite the fact that you're playing one of the top teams in the country.
Right, you really have to get up for every game. You can't let anything down, especially playing a tough squad like Brute Squad. That's Lucky Kwan with it. Kwan to Tang. Now Tang to Lee. Lee back to Tang. Brute Squad very, very poachy. That's Chelsea Murphy just hanging out in the middle, shutting down a lot of Showdown's downfield defense. And there's Murphy with the D, able to poach off and get that D. Now Brute Squad looking to make it 2 breaks here in a row. Klain with it to Kiesau, and Kiesau Looking to Whit Garcia. Whit Garcia able to go up and sky for the second break in a row.
So Brute Squad opening up an early lead here. I really like that defensive look, Jackson. I think it looked to me like a 6-and-1, where Brute Squad sends one defender back in the deep space and then gives 6 players a lot of latitude to work in the middle of the field, poach lanes, man up in some situations, then jump lanes. Chelsea Murphy getting the block here for Brute Squad. You know, I think it's very tough to read a defense like that, especially if you don't have a highly experienced O-line. And Brute Squad definitely taking advantage there. And then on the turnover, Whit Garcia with a great grab here for the goal on this Kisau forehand.
Nice grab there by Whit Garcia. And as the players take a timeout, we will too. We'll be right back here with words from our sponsors. Welcome back to first half action at the Emerald City Classic here in Burlington, Washington. Brute Squad has opened up an early lead on Showdown.
There's Coach Mike Zalisk giving his Brute Squad D-line a little instruction. Mike Zalisk, the head coach for this Brute Squad team. Former Callahan winner.
Ironside player as well.
And former Ironside player. Played a little bit for Jam back in the mid-2000s.
In the glory days of Jam.
Zalisk won Callahan for Tufts in 2002. You know, Brute Squad also has 3 Callahan winners on the team as well. Paula Seville, Courtney Kisau, and Leela Tennell.
Definitely a talented bunch. Oh, and a costly drop there by Hammond, dropping the pole. Now Brute Squad looking to make it 3 breaks in a row, expand this lead to 4. Tajima with it. Tajima fires. And that's Harris just giving the open under in the red zone. That's something you can never do.
Well, you also
especially on the live side.
You have to give a little credit here to Hoffman's speed. I mean, she just takes off, and after a couple steps is just wide open. You know, definitely you gotta know it's coming. Back of the stack, cut to the cone. But Hoffman's speed definitely makes that workable. So 6-2, Brute Squad with the lead. Definitely putting on a clinic here. They've converted 4 out of 6 Showdown turnovers for breaks at this point. And when Showdown gives these easy short field opportunities for Brute Squad, it's not very difficult for them.
It's pretty much what your defense wants every time they pull. Just an ideal situation for Brute Squad, able to expand their lead. Hoffman all smiles after that goal. Tajima doing a lot of throwing here for Brute Squad. She's the 3-time All-Region player, plays at Tufts, and was the 2013 New England Player of the Year. There's Titcomb with the pull. Hammond able to bring that one in. Centers to 4th. Brute Squad a little more tight on their defense here. Less poachy. Hammond to Ludford. Ludford back to Harris. Harris whips it around to Levin. Levin to Ludford. Ludford downfield to 4th. Nice movement here from Showdown. Back to Harris. Harris with the dump to Hammond. Hammond to Harris, up line. Now Harris looking downfield, and Harris boosts it to Levin. And that's Sarah Jacoby with the D, able to elevate. Although she gave up a few inches there to Levin, she had the position, able to come down with that D. Now Brute Squad looking to expand their lead to 5.
The Showdown offense there looked really good right off the pull. Lots of pressure and movement. Ludford particularly was stepping up, but then when they got to midfield, they got stacked. Ludford just stood in the stack as well as 3 other players, and it forced a tough turnover where Brute Squad was able to take advantage of that static movement from Showdown, and now they're off on offense.
Now Jacoby up. Nice snag there. And wide open. Leanne Hoffman, 2nd goal in a row. That's now 5 points in a row for Brute Squad. All smiles here from Boston.
talking to the Brute Squad coaches before the game, they mentioned specifically their focus on moving the disc quickly, hitting open receivers, and you can see that in that offense there. Just really quick movement. They're very deep and a very skilled team. So after they get this turnover here, great D by Jacoby, off to the races. Just easy movement up the field until Klain with the big forehand shot deep to Leanne Hoffman, speeding away from her check, Merrill Hammond.
You know, Kyle, you were noticing earlier as we were watching the players warm up, Sunny Harris looked like she came up a little bit and maybe she tweaked something in her groin. And, those 2 points, they had the speedy Hoffman cutting on her. You wonder if Brute Squad maybe knows something's up with Harris. She was just a little bit behind on each of those.
Yeah, Harris, a dominant player in the college season, in the college series this year. She's known to play through a lot of injuries, but this is definitely a higher level of play. Leanne Hoffman, one of the fastest players in the division right now, and that's going to be a tough matchup for anyone, especially someone who's ailing with possibly groin or hip flexor injury.
All right, so we've reached the halfway point of this game. Brute Squad leading 7, Showdown 2. We'll take a break here and be back with more second half action. Welcome back to the start of the second half here. We have Brute Squad leading Showdown 7-2. We'll take a quick peek to see what these teams were doing at halftime. We had Showdown clearly wanting to get the disc moving. Lots of touches for their teams. Just really focused on getting the touches.
Yeah, Brute Squad on their side, really relaxed, calm. They're playing very well. They're very comfortable with where they're at right now and looking strong.
Dancing about.
One thing I think is interesting about what's going on right now, Showdown's a team that's coming off of Worlds. They had a long, week-long tournament. They probably took a long break like most teams did after Worlds. And they were probably planning to peak for Worlds as well, right? They wanted to go in and perform as well as possible. Brute Squad, their eyes are on the prize right now of the U.S. Club Championship. And so they're probably in a rhythm. They've been practicing through the whole month, and they're probably healthier and fitter than a lot of the opponents they're going to see this weekend.
Quick movement here from Brute Squad, looking to attack immediately. Tunnell to Malinowski to Bitterman to Tunnell.
Yeah, Brute Squad O-line's been off for a while and doesn't look like they've missed a beat. That was a quick
Not at
offense.
all. Showdown kind of confused as to who they were guarding. Wide open Bitterman to Tunnell. Tunnell with the around break to Blake Spitz.
Yeah, really great
a
quick.
Captain of this team. Played her college days at Brown.
Really great quick movement here from Brute Squad. Good distribution of the disc. They see open receivers and they hit them.
Spitz is pumped up. Brute came down in a side stack. They centered to Tunnell, created a lot of open space. Definitely one of the advantages to coming down in that side stack. You have 30 yards of cutting space, whereas a standard center of the field vertical stack, you only really have maybe 15 yards on each side, a lot tighter windows. It's a lot easier for the handlers to break around the mark or inside. Now Titcomb set to pull. Brute Squad working on a 6-point run here, see if they can push it to 7.
Another thing at play here, Jackson, this weekend is the regular season title and championship, for which a team wins $2,000. Brute Squad second in the nation right now. With a strong performance here and a win, will likely take home that $2,000. Here's a shot.
Eagle putting it right away to Levin. Something we haven't really seen from Showdown. And Levin finds Kimber Coles. first-year player on the team out of the University of Oregon. Also former Next Gen employee Kimber Coles. So the crew likes seeing that. It's nice for Showdown to kind of stop the bleeding, get themselves on the board, and start cutting into this large deficit.
Well, and also getting other players involved. We saw in the first half Showdown relying significantly on Sunny Harris, Mariel Hammond, and Katie Forth. Other players getting involved from this point is really big for them. They need to get all 7 players on offense working together in a similar way to what we saw Brute Squad do the previous point. When you distribute the disc that well, it makes your offense way more unpredictable and way more dynamic.
Right. The defense isn't focusing on only 3 players. Instead of playing 7 on 3, they're now playing 7 on 7, which really evens the playing field.
So Showdown on D again for the first time in several points. Big opportunity for them. They've only created 1 turnover so far on their D line. Let's see if they can generate some pressure here. They've been mixing up. They've been running both zone and man so far.
Eagle with the inside-out pull. Seville to bring it down. It's like Brute Squad coming out in a different set here. Horizontal stack. Looking deep to Whit Garcia. Whit Garcia falls down, but able to come back to the disc. Now Seville with it. No one downfield yet. Seville looking inside. Focus to Malinowski. Malinowski with the around break to Bitterman. Easy offense there. I was kind of confused as to what offense they were really coming down in. It almost looked like a basketball motion. They all were kind of in a circle, swirling around the field, and all of a sudden disc goes up. Whit Garcia able to come back for the disc, keep her heads up. You see that so much in the game. If the offender is cutting deep and there's a low throw, and you're, as a spectator, you're like, oh, that's going to get D'd, that's going to get D'd. But the offender oftentimes has their head up, and the defender focused on the player they're guarding, unable to get that space, and they give up the position.
Yeah, and then here on the goal line, Seville eyeing Malinowski for several seconds until she gets this little I.O. break, kind of a half break, and then Malinowski with an easy backhand dish out to Bitterman for the goal. I think what Brute Squad came down in that point was kind of a spread stack with 2 players on each sideline, and then they were in motion, so that's why it kind of gave it that circular look. Very quick movement again. On the huck, you know, it wasn't the greatest huck, but it worked.
It worked, especially when you have a cutter like Whit Garcia. Definitely been thrown too deep a lot. Now Titcomb to pull. Brute Squad leads 9-3. Titcomb has had fantastic pulls all day long. There's Christy Kim down on 4th. Fourth to Matsumoto. Fouled by Bacher. No contest, coming back.
So Brute Squad on a forced backhand defense. Looks like it's back to that kind of 6-and-1 look. Definitely some poaching deep.
Here's Hammond with it. Up the line, now the backhand huck. Not quite on target with that one. Kisau comes down with it to Tajima. Tajima around to Titcomb. So we have a pick call. Stoppage of play. Players getting set back up. That was Katie Forth with the tick call, or with the pick call.
Some confusion here on where players are repositioning. Looks like the disc is going to go back to Tajima. Looks like it affected the actual reception that Titcomb had.
Players all set, and we're ready to go. Here's Tajima with it.
Ooh, huge block.
Big D there.
Looks like Titcom's calling a foul or strip on that one.
Looks pretty nice from this angle.
That was Michelle Arsenal with the D.
Coming in on 0. Titcom to Tajima. Tajima to Kisao. Kisao looking downfield. Now to Bacher. Bacher with the backhand. Will it stay in? Will it stay in? Negative. Hammond there to deny it. Now Hammond brings it up. She's marked by Jacoby. 4th up the line. And a timeout here called by Hammond.
Hammond a little frustrated with what she was seeing downfield. Lots of confusion, not a lot of movement. She was trying to put the disc into play pretty quickly there. And probably a good decision to call a timeout, get her team on the same page. You know, they're down by a lot at this point. But they can still take something out of this for the weekend, right? I think they, you know, this weekend is, and especially Saturday, is all about getting better so that when you hit quarterfinals tomorrow, you're where your team needs to be. And especially for a team like Showdown, where you've got 2 big players who are commuting players who don't get a lot of practice time with the team, you know, getting on the same page, this type of communication early in the weekend will pay dividends for them later in the weekend and throughout the season.
It's very true. You know, it's the first half of the first game of the tournament. They can just let that one go. It wasn't their half. Brute Squad came out, they were ready, and clearly Showdown wasn't clicking on all cylinders, but they can really come out here in the second half, work on their offense, figure out who needs to be where, figure out their placement, their spacing, who needs to cut at what time, what throws people are willing to throw. Let's see here if Showdown can come down and really put together a nice offensive set. It's a horizontal offense. 3 handlers back, 4 cutters downfield. Hammond marked by Jacoby.
You see Kisao and Tajima kind of paired poaching out in the middle of the field. Kisao on the under, Tajima on the away. And the disc goes up. An easy block there.
Wonder if the stall count was just getting a little high. Hammond forced to throw downfield. Now Kisao to Titcom. Titcom back to Kisao. Kisao looking downfield. Kisao, as the stall count gets high, forced to throw it downfield. And that's Arsenault with the D. Now 4th swung across to Lee. Lee looking downfield, now looking back to the dump. And Kisao with the layout block just in front of Hammond. Now Bacher brings it up, marked by Lee, just outside the end zone. Have an isolation with Titcom. And that's Tajima streaking across up line with the goal. Brute Squad able to push their lead back to 7. 10-3. It's kind of tough coming out of a timeout on that one. You come out in a horizontal set.
You're trapped on that sideline already. Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a tough one to start on for sure, Jackson. And Brute Squad planned for it. And so, you know, I think Showdown had drawn out some routes, some specific cuts, but Brute Squad's poaching those spaces. Now this block by Kisao, though, phenomenal. Just right on the goal line and giving this easy one, dish up to Tajima for the goal, and the 9-3 lead.
That's a Callahan winning block right there.
So 10-3. And Brute Squad 3 points away from a quick victory here in the first round. Again, I really want to stress, I think Brute Squad's in a very different point in their season to the 4 teams that went to Worlds this year. I think that they, you know, they've got a one tournament to focus on, one tournament to peak for. They've been practicing through here, and their goals in this tournament are very different than other teams' goals. And it's very important that if Brute Squad is successful this weekend, that they take into account the fact that other teams are in a very different place than them. because these other teams are kind of have reset, and they're in their second season, and this is the beginning of their second season.
Right, like you said, a lot of them are coming off longer breaks. People just aren't clicking as they were in the previous season. Now Bacher with the pull. Fourth brings it down. Centers up to Tang. Tang to fourth. Fourth marked by Tajima. Tajima downfield to Harris, or Hammond, excuse me. Up to Eagle. Now Eagle looking downfield. Eagle boosts it just a bit too far. Looking for Marjo Poindexter. Now Klain brings it up. Looks like a double side stack here for Brute. Hallweaver, extended pancake catch. Up the line to Klain, and Poindexter gets the D back. Showdown. Back with it now to fourth. Fourth to Eagle. 10 yards outside the end zone. Tang cutting upfield, swung across to Hammond. Hammond with the around throw to Poindexter, and the bookends for Marjo. Nice work there. Haven't seen much from her this game, but she was ready to play on that point.
Well, again, nice movement from Showdown there, breaking the mark, moving to the other side of the field. After this great block from Poindexter, and then she's able to convert. The Showdown goes to the other side of the field.
Have we seen Harris in the second half? Have we seen Sunny Harris in the second half? I don't know if we have.
No, it looks like she's been on the sideline. You know, I think that groin injury may be something serious. She's definitely taking some time off here.
Her counterpart, Hammond, has been in, but haven't seen much of Harris in the second half. Probably trying to just take it easy. Looks like Tang set to pull. Brute Squad, every offensive point we've seen from them this game has just been fluid. Coming down in various offenses, working it as a team, as a unit, not just one player standing out. Bitterman scoring a lot of the goals, but she just happens to be at the right place at the right time. Tanel facilitating a lot of those throws. Seville been a big key. Seville to Tanel. Now over to Chang. Chang up the line, and the disc goes deep to Bitterman. Just scoring goals.
Yeah, again,
fourth goal for her this game.
Yeah.
She's a speedy one.
Really nice movement there. Again, from the Brute Squad offense, finding Unfreed underneath, and then Unfreed just unleashing a nice forehand huck out to space for Bitterman. Bitterman with a great angle on that one as well. Lots of space to run onto. You see Unfreed popping free down under, right around midfield, and then a nice little 35-yard forehand out to space to Bitterman.
Just a nice flat throw to Bitterman. Easy for her to run onto it. And looks like we've reached that point in the game where we have the Patagonia play of the game. Earlier in their game, a big D point from Negus, coming up line and getting that D, able to set the tone in the first half, extend that lead, continue the march of breaks for Brute Squad, slaps it out of possession for Showdown.
And that was very early in the game, at the point when it was still only 3-2 Brute Squad. Brute Squad had one break at that point, and that was the one that kind of set the tone, as you said, and allowed this Brute Squad machine to just start rolling.
Now Titcomb with the pull. You see Brute Squad's, they're not really letting up. Their big players are still out there, wanting to end this game in a hurry. Now Lee with it on the sides, marked by Titcomb. Titcomb back to Eagle. Eagle up to Arsenault. Arsenault looking dump, back to Eagle. Across to Wynn. Wynn dumps to Cherrier back with it. Cherrier, the low break to Woodings. Woodings brings it back in. Oh, just off the outstretched hand of Arsenault. It's nice offense there from Showdown. They were moving it pretty well, keeping space, being aggressive, just a little too far. Now Klein with it to Hoffman. Hoffman spinning around. Back to Klein. Klein marked by Arsenault. Arsenault looking downfield. And there's Ludford, marked by Coles. Ludford looks dump. Coles around on the mark, forcing the straight backfield dump to Bacher. Bacher marked by Woodings. Now Bacher looks dump. Lead with a near D. Titcomb with it now. Inside to Hoffman. Bid from Hoffman, unable to bring it down. Now to Wynn. Wynn to Lee. Lee putting it deep. Klein there for the D. And Klein turns around and puts it back to Ludford. Now Ludford to Hoffman, just a little too much.
And honestly, I think this might be a little concerning for Brute Squad. This is the sloppiest offense I've seen them run in this game. Both those last two possessions, it looks like a little frantic. It looks like there's a lot of jumble and some poor decisions, holding the disc for too long. It's very different than what we saw early in the game, with quick movement and very precise throws.
Now Lee brings it up, marked by Titcomb. Titcomb to Woodings. Now Cherrier with it. Marked by Christy Kim. Cherrier looking dump. Cherrier with that inside throw to Coles, and just on the goal line.
Coles with her second drop of the game. And now Brute Squad with a chance to take it to their game point. Bacher with the disc.
Titcomb will be isolated here. Now to Klein. Looks like we might have a call. Players discussing.
Klein with a really quick move up line there. And feet got tangled with the defender, and I think the defender fell over, but the defender was moving the opposite direction of Klein, which was what caused it.
Just looks like her foot barely gets clipped. Almost could have been called an ankle breaker, but not quite. Now Bacher with it. Marked by Woodings. Looks like they're going to isolate Klein here again. Allowing lots of space. They just need to go 1 yard. And Hoffman maintains possession. Hoffman dumps to Klein. Klein to that live side for Ludford. Ludford with the goal. And Brute Squad pushing their lead to 8 now. They lead 12-4. Not exactly what Showdown wanted coming out. But Brute Squad really just pouring it on here.
You know, I think for Showdown, a lot of what has to come out of this game is what needs to change. How can they improve out of this? There's a lot of things going on with the Showdown team. They have a lot of turnover out of the 2013 season. They lost 4 big players for them: Sarah Blythe, Kara Crouch, Anessa Janes, and Anna Schott. 2 of those players played with them for Worlds and played big roles: Kara Crouch and Sarah Blythe. So coming here, they've got to find new roles for people. They've got to figure out who's doing what. They certainly have talent. They have athleticism. They have a couple big names, but they've got to create chemistry, and they don't have a ton of time to do that with the remainder of the season. And that's the challenge of those Worlds years, is figuring out how do you take that first season going into Worlds and mesh it with the second season to get as much out of it as possible. There's a talented team, and the big thing here is what do they take out of this game? How can they improve from here?
Right, it's just such a balance of which tournament do you want to peak for? Do you want to peak for Nationals? Do you want to peak for Worlds? Can you peak for both? Like, it's just such a challenge on the body, on the mind, really the commitment.
Well, and the physical stress of Worlds. I mean, a 7-day tournament is no joke. You're playing 2 games a day, which for a lot of people probably sounds like very few, but when you're playing them at the highest level, when you have to warm up for every game, then you have an hour and a half, 2 hours of downtime, then you warm up again, it's really exhausting. You have no recovery time for your body.
And still, that's 2 games a day for 7 7 days, that's 14 games. That's a lot of Ultimate in a week.
It's a lot of Ultimate, and then with the time change and the travel, and then a lot of these teams took a week to a week and a half off afterwards. And so Showdown's likely had 1 to 2 practices coming into this tournament. And like we said, a lot of personnel changes that they're having to deal with from 2013, but also from the World Championships just 3 weeks ago.
Now Brute Squad looking to end it here on this point. We have Titcomb to pull.
You know, you made a point earlier, Jackson, on the last point that Brute Squad's still putting out some of their top players. And I think that's just what the Brute Squad looks like this season. I think Brute Squad is so deep. Talking to their assistant coach, Sarah Cook, prior to this game, she was saying this is the deepest Brute squad that she's ever been a part of. And she's been a part of this team for a long time.
Yeah, just looking at their roster before the game on their website, it seemed like every single player was a Freshman of the Year, a 3-time All-Region, a Callahan nominee, 3rd in the Callahan nominee. They have 3 Callahan winners. They are a stacked team coming in to this Triple Crown Tour.
You know, they have players with championship experience, college as well as club championship experience, and a lot of talent.
And the suffocating D on that one. Hammond unable to get anything going. Lots of poaching. Trapped on the sidelines. There's Tajima with it, marked by 4th. Tajima back to Klain.
He's out 10 yards out of the game-winning goal. Finding Titcomb for the game winner. And Brute Squad takes it 13-4. So Jackson, Brute Squad looking dominant here in the first round.
They came to play. They definitely came to play.
You know, as much as I was qualifying this with the Worlds versus the non-Worlds and where Brute Squad is in their season versus where Showdown is in the season, Brute Squad just looks good. You know, they definitely look like a contender this season. I don't think there's any doubt about that after finishing 2nd in the U.S. Open. The talent on their roster, I think a lot of teams are expecting this team to break through this year and looking to be finalists. Of course, lots of talent in this women's division with Fury and Riot having a very dominant season, and of course Scandal, the defending national title holders.
Mm-hmm. So as the players shake hands, we're going to sign off here. That is the final score of Brute Squad taking down Showdown, 13-4. Next game here on the Next Gen Network, we have Revolver taking on Machine. Hope you stay tuned for more action here from Burlington, Washington.